I can't believe they've done this. This was a screaming deal. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update. Unfortunately, we only got 8 new guitars out of the mod collection, and we were having some loading issues, but let's go ahead and see what we got. Starting things off for the lefties, we've got Lunar Horizon 60 Standard. I looked at these photos 3 or 4 times, and I never even realized it was a lefty, because that's such an awesome finish. It reminds me of the original robot guitars, maybe even the sky blue Les Paul Goddess. It also kind of reminds me of the Les Paul Peace. But what's really fascinating about this one is not only do you have the black border, then you get the blue, but the whitish blue that they've got going on here is still see-through. So this is just like the best of both worlds, but the black knobs really pair well with this finish. Not too much changed on our headstock, except for the Les Paul model decal, as compared to what we're used to seeing anyway. But the back is a complete dark blue with moto plates. And then, hey, look at that, a custom shop case upgrade. That was a really good deal for a lefty. It doesn't surprise me that that was the very first thing to sell instantaneously. But the theme this week was black and blue. So this next hue is called Arctic Aqua, and it's done up on one of them Firebird customs. It's looking pretty good with the gold hardware, multiply binding, that's stark white. But my favorite thing about blue finishes is the way that it brings out the hues in the mother of pearl. We've got the matching headstock with a complete refin, and it's at $5,500, that's a bit expensive. Next, we have one of those 335 P90s, which is a Gibson.com exclusive, typically in an ebony finish. But this time they brought back the finish Beach Activity Blue. We've seen this a few times before, and it always works really well with the cream plastics. It really transforms the vibe. But just a regular headstock on this one, with the normal case, and a complete refin on the back. If you're in the market for that model, that's not a bad price. And then the last blue one from the mod collection is one of the non-reverse Thunderbird bass guitars. They called it Metallic Pelham Satin. Really doesn't look all that different as compared to the stock version, but it looks like they also upgraded our bridge and the refinish on the back and a matching headstock. But again, that's how all these are. But check out this Les Paul Classic. It's a great transitioning into the more darker hues. We've got a white and black stripe bed design going on here, and the clear pickguard, the uncovered pickups, the witch hat knobs. This will certainly get you some looks on stage. But what I like even more is look at our fretboard. It's a little bit streaky and matches the theme of this. But yet the back is a cherry red color, undoubtedly left over from the original finish. But check out the side profile shot. The whole red, cream, white, and black, it kind of works. I'm just happy this is a gloss top refin. And it looks like it came in one of the modern Gibson cases. But following that up is a Custom Shop 355. They call it Star Cluster Sparkle. Oh wow, that actually looks quite nice now that I've clicked on it. It looks like we got the polychromatic colors dancing on here, and it's just going to be a black border underneath it. That's going to look really cool in person. But interesting that it has MHS pickups in it. That stands for Memphis Historic Spec. And they also did it to the back, but not the neck. But hey, look at that. It also has it on the headstock. All right, that's the it factor. But this studio is called Mossy Slate, which you've got like a reddish brown slate color, and then it turns slightly green, depending on the lighting situation. So, I mean, I guess it works. And it's rocking a 57 Classic in the neck and a Super 57 in the bridge. No matching headstock here, but it was a complete refin, and it looks like they played around with our back plates. It's got more of a rustic vibe on the back, and then hey, would you look at that? It's got a dark green stinger. I'm not a fan of the shape of that one though. I like it better when it follows the contour of the headstock rather than wrapping around it. I'm curious if there's a reason they decided to do it like that. Kind of expensive for a studio, but hey, it's a cool custom color. And kind of like our mossy green friend, we've got a Les Paul Standard 50s that does a similar gold effect. They call this Gilded Heritage Cherry. So it's just Heritage Cherry Sunburst, but when you look at it in the light, it'll turn into a gold top, essentially. That's a really cool idea. I'm glad they did that, especially with one that has a cool flame top and the cross-hatched wood grain. It would be a similar effect to what you're seeing right here on this Les Paul Special that we documented, but just imagine different colors. But man, that really is fascinating. I want to see that thing in person. Kind of reminds me of this weird thing where it was half sunburst, half gold top, but it doesn't look like a golden headstock or a gilded back. So not that many this week, but at least we had a couple nice ones. Let's check out the Gibson USA demo shop. They had 30 new ones for us to check out this week. Here's my top 10-ish. We had a standard 60s with a AAA top. I mean, that's just a nice top. The back isn't anything too exciting, but that one's not bad for $500 off. Our next one is a Lefty SG Junior from the original collection. These things don't really get a lot of love, but I figured I'd throw a bone for the lefties. Not once, but twice. Reverse Explorers are always quite strange to see, and yeah, Gibson actually did make a real Reverse Explorer that you can play as a righty. But this is how the orientation normally looks. So when you look at the headstock like this, it's giving you Gibson M3 vibes. But going back to our righty friends, we actually had a modified guitar within the demo shop. Now granted, they just changed our plastics for the most part to white, which gives it a unique vibe with a back that looks like this. Then it's always fun to see the 68 reissue gold tops. They always have a soft spot in my heart because they're not supposed to have the crown. It was just a typo, and it birthed history and allure to the very early 68s. Next up, we got one of those 50s faded Les Paul standards. The top on this one doesn't do much for me, but the back is a whole different story. Look at that. That's great. And then I thought this was a really good deal, $3,800 on a VOS Custom Shop Custom. Looks like the only modification here is golden knobs. You don't usually get that, but they don't look too bad. And as far as wear and tear, I'm not seeing anything too crazy. A little bit of lacquer sink, so $1,200 off seems pretty good to me. But check out this Gibson.com exclusive 70s Flying V in the ebony finish. They kind of made it look like a Voodoo guitar by putting the Voodoo pickups in here and the Voodoo knobs and the red switch tip. They also gave it a red logoed Gibson truss rod cover. I didn't see that before. I feel this needs red inlays, but that would easily be able to get swapped in. Maybe you could dye it a darker color to make it a pitch black ebony. That was a sweet one. At first I thought this was one of those new 50 standards, but no, this is actually a older tribute from 2016, so it's got some decent wood grain. But oh, okay, it's one of those ones with the access heel carve and the titanium nut. And it looks like somebody went to buffer crazy on the back there. But Lock & Grover tuners, wow, that is a seriously spec'd out guitar. And that's why it's a Tribute HP high performance guitar. There's one of those old B2 Explorers. I never thought much of these things when they were brand new, but they're starting to become kind of cool. And this regular production Tribute model, it's got okay wood grain, front and back. But I wanted to point it out because it does come with a case, and that model normally comes with a gig bag. So not only do you get to save a couple $100, you also get the upgrade. But now, for the second week in a row, the Gibson European demo shop steals the show. They dropped 28 new guitars on us, a lot of them also being signature models like last week. But holy cow, what a deal! Gibson Adam Jones 1979. When I first saw this, I thought it was one of those standards. But no, this is one of the original VOS runs. So on the used market, you're talking anywhere between $9,000 and $12,000 pretty easily. They're pretty scarce even on the used market, but you've got solid sales figures here. So needless to say, being able to pick it up in that market, including value-added tax for $5,500, that was a crazy price. Now I have to remember the initial retail price on these was $5,999, and then things just got crazy after that. But there's no reason these guys couldn't have posted it for like $9,500 and still sold it just about instantaneously, because it doesn't even appear to be in that bad a shape. I mean, you'll have to live with this giant demo stamp back here, but I was curious if this was one of the stolen serial numbers, and like, that's why they're getting rid of it real quick. Not because it was stolen, but because it was recovered, because we never heard anything more on that. I thought for sure we would have saw them. But no, I checked our serial numbers here, and that's not one of the reported ones. So congratulations, whoever just got handed a free $5,000. Or alternatively, somebody got it and actually gets to play it without having to pay a crazy price. But next up, we had a 57 reissue gold top. It's a gold top. Why do I want to share it? This dark back is almost a perfect hue. Like, it's a mix between light back and dark back, because it's not quite as shaded as sometimes they can be. And apparently they forgot to put a Les Paul model decal on it, but I thought it looked particularly good. They had a lefty hummingbird over here. Don't see too many of those out in the wild, but I wanted to share this one for its serial number. It is a 2019 produced guitar on the 360th day of the year. You don't see 36X serial numbered guitars too often due to the time of year that they're created. But next, look at this, a Dave Mustaine Flying V, $200 off and including all tax. And on top of that, it is a very nice example. There was not a lot of love for these things, even though they only made 75 of each color. As far as the used market is concerned anyways, these kind of seem like a flop. But everybody thought the modern Flying V was a flop too, and now they're selling for way more than I want to pay. So maybe this is just something we need to sleep on a little bit. But if anybody wants a deal on one of mine, I'm ready to move on to some other inventory. They also had one of those Lizzie Hale Explorers. Another one that doesn't seem to get a lot of love. I still have my review and demo piece. However, since I do collect Explorers, I don't mind holding on to it. It's certainly my least favorite Lizzie Hale signature so far, but at least it has its own quirky identity with the Firebird headstock. This Les Paul Studio in Manhattan Midnight is kind of funny. A long time ago, I called this the bald man burst because you don't have the hair on top, but you've got the beard. But it looks like his sideburns are a little bit uneven today. Poor guy. They had an SG standard with some nice wood grain, particularly on the back. It's not perfectly book matched, but it's close enough. They had one of those freaky ES390s with the humbuckers and surrounds. It's kind of an interesting guitar. It looks like it's 339 shape, but that was made in 2013. The 70s model Les Paul Deluxe. It's just your regular gold finish, but the back. I thought the joining of these two woods looked particularly terrible, like so bad it almost starts to look good, because that seam line is way too apparent, and the wood grains don't match at all. It's got a nice ugly duckling vibe. There was a good price on this Carina Explorer, and that is going to do it for tonight's episode. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.